Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Hager. This is their part number 3958, US10B Round Corner Full Lip Strike, 2¼ by 1 5/8, oil rubbed bronze for then a series of lock sets. So this is what we would call a full lip strike or a D strike. If you use your imagination, you can see why we call it a D strike. Full lip, obviously. This is a radiused corner, that is 1/4-inch radius corners on the strike itself. That is 2¼ tall. They say 1 5/8 wide. That's probably going to be the overall width. And it's closer to 1 3/4. However, the way that strikes are measured are from the center line of the screw hole to the edge of the lip. And 1 3/16 is about the typical size. 1 3/16, 1 1/4, 1 5/16. That's how lip lengths are measured. Center of the hole to the edge of the lip. Now, the length of the lip, most people don't think about it, don't notice it, don't have to notice it, don't have to think about it. However, from a hardware perspective, it is a dimension that we need to be mindful of to make sure that the requirements of the opening and the hardware that you supply for it are correct. It just turns out that 1 3/16, 1 1/4, 1 5/16, it's the Swiss Army knife size. It's going to work in almost every application that you need it to. However, there'll be applications where it won't. So be mindful of that you might need either a shorter lip, but more commonly an extended lip. An extended lip would be if you had an unusual door inset where your door was pushed into the frame from the face of the frame for some reason. The standard inset is about 3/32 of an inch. Well, imagine if that was 1 inch. Yeah, you need a lip length a little bit longer, about 3/4 longer in that case. The other reason is you may have applied casing or brick mold or jam extensions to the frame, and what's happening is the latch bolt is making premature contact with the frame before it hits the strike. You need an extended lip. Conversely, you might need a shorter lip. You might have a pair of doors with an astragal applied to the pull side of the active door. So the formula for that is take the door thickness, divide it by 2, that's your lip length. Okay, so just a quick conversation on that. Screws are included. These are combination wood machine screws and a complementary finish. Now, speaking of the finish, they're talking about US10B oil rubbed bronze. The term oil rubbed bronze is a very misunderstood finish in many instances, most instances in fact. It is not specified when someone says US10B what the base material is, so it can literally be anything. This happens to be steel, and they're saying that it's US10B oil rubbed bronze. Be mindful, this is a steel base material with a powder coated dark brown paint on it, and the way you're looking at it, it does appear to be black, okay, on the camera, until we hold it up to something that's absolutely black, and then our strike becomes a little less black. You can see how the light reflects. It will show a little lighter tone. So be mindful. They're not calling this 613, which is oil rubbed bronze, over bronze. This is a powder coated paint over a steel base material. It's going to be, of course, quite complementary to oil rubbed, but just understand what it is that you're buying when you buy it. There are some documents down below. Let's switch quickly and take a look at the supporting documentation. Okay, so this is the item that we're looking at here, 3958 round corner strike. And by the way, that radius is 1/4 inch. That is achieved by using a 1/2 inch diameter 2-flute carbide router bit, or just a 1/2 inch diameter router bit. When the pre-hanger does not go back and square the corners, it leaves a 1/4 inch radius, and that's why you'll see radiused latch bolts and radius strike plates, mostly in residential construction, because of the ultimate lower cost of the unit by not having the additional labor of squaring out those corners. So that's why radius corner strikes exist, because that's what you have. Now, you can use a square corner strike, or a latch for that matter. You just have to square out the corners. But people don't typically realize, oh, okay, I could take a square corner and just take my hammer and chisel and square that out. and what people are doing is matching what they have already, or what they're replacing, or how the frame is prepped. So lots of catalog series here. It's the same strike, just used in different derivative lock product lines from Hager. First, the wood jam template. This is not correct. And by the time you're seeing this video, we will indeed have that corrected to the following. And the important part is that that we're taking a look at the Y dimension, which is the face of the stop to the center line of the strike, which is to be the center line of your latch bolt in your door thickness as well. So really, you could take your door thickness, divide that in half, add the distance from the face of the stop to the face of the door when the door is in the closed position, or I should say parallel to the face of the stop. And there will be a small amount of space there. The door doesn't necessarily come tight to that. You might leave 60 thousandths of an inch, something in that range. And how you really determine that is to measure the door rabbet, subtract the door thickness, and subtract the inset, and then you'll have the remainder, which is Y minus door thickness will be the remainder. What you don't want to get into is having to file that strike open at all, so you want to position it correctly. 2 1/4 tall. They say that it's 1 3/4 overall width here. Putting my tape measure back on it. Yeah, I mean, sure, 1 3/4, absolutely, maybe less 30 thousandths of an inch. But it is certainly closer to 1 3/4 than 1 5/8. That's to be sure. Okay, wood door template there. Okay, so as we hop back to our item, we'll just open up the 3500 series catalog. Maybe we won't. Okay, we have all of those 3400, all those links corrected. I apologize for that. Each of these will go through the overview of the series of lock that you're dealing with. I happen to look at the 3400. As we scroll through, we'll eventually get to the parts, and here's our 3958, along with other strikes that would go with a 3400. But again, it's a fairly typical full lip, 1/4 inch radius, 2 1/4 strike, so very easy stuff. Its sister product, of course, is the square corner version, the 3934. This is what's called a T-strike. If you use your imagination, you can see why we call it a T-strike, if you rotated that 90-degree clockwise. And then the strike for a hollow metal frame, the 4 7/8 ASA strike, is here. Other options for that particular lock series you would find in this catalog as well, such as different latch bolts, etc. Let's wrap up this video on camera. So in conclusion, a very typical strike. You don't have to use this only with Hager locks. It's a 2 1/4 D strike. One thing that I like about it is it has this folded over return here, and I have forgotten the technical name for this, but there is one. Many strikes don't feature that. What's nice about that is it permits the retraction of the latch as you rotate the trim to operate smoother, to be more predictable, reliable, dependable. If it's a keyed function, the deadlocking tab is going to rest outside of here while the rest of the latch bolt inserts itself into the hole of the strike. If you are using Hager locks on fire-rated doors, you'll certainly want to have the original Hager strike, because that's the way that the lock was tested. The assembly was tested. It was tested with this material, or this exact type of strike, in order to use it on a fire-rated opening. Having said that, the point applies in the sense of be sure that you're using all of the hardware on a fire-rated door as it was tested. Okay, the lock is certainly going to be available as a certified lock for use on fire doors. The question ultimately becomes, was this strike tested? And that will be a question that will need to be answered and confirmed. And I'm going to conclude that it is, assuming that you have a fire-rated door application with a radiused corner D-strike. It's a wood frame, so it's probably it's very likely that the door is fire-rated and the frame is probably not. You do see that occasionally, but because the 3400 series is UL 10C and UL 10B positive and neutral pressure rated, should you have a fire-rated opening that this would be installed onto, I would conclude that it would be permissible. But this strike is, not going to be seen in a fire-rated opening, really. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. If you have a steel frame, you'll obviously be using the 4 7/8 strike. Now, all the different finishes that this is available, and let's take a look just quickly. Different finishes. US10 for satin bronze. US10B, oil rub bronze they call this. US26 polished chrome. US26D satin chrome. US3 polished brass. US32D satin stainless steel. Then US4 satin brass. Any questions on the Hager 3958 full lip strike or any other Hager product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.